Well, that's for lovers. And I don't hear Valentine's voice in there, but that's for lovers. Anyway, let's talk about the love for our country.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that drove us to this whole conversation around electoral reforms.
Yes,
As of February 2026, Nigeria is in a critical state of legislative and constitutional review to finalize the 2023 Electoral Act. Based on recommendations from INEC, civil society organizations, and current legislative debates, a number of reforms have been identified as necessary for the 2027 elections to be as credible as all Nigerians want it to be. Currently, the National Assembly is harmonizing versions of a new bill intended to guide the 2027 elections, and a number of those issues we'll speak to in a bit. But in the meantime, what do all these, have for us? Because there are major milestones that have been achieved, there are ongoing challenges.
Yeah.
But right now, we have three people to have conversations with us this morning about the needed electoral reforms. Julie Odigoyegun joins us from Lekki. She's a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, madam.
Morning.
Yeah, Also in our Abuja studio, Kacho Nonunju joins us as a public affairs analyst, as well as Ahmed Buhari, who is a vice presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress in the 2023 elections. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Okay.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yes. So, madam, let me begin with you. After all, they say ladies first, so let us honor that. You have heard, I'm pretty sure, some of the noise being made, some of the issues being raised about the amendments, what to be, what to not be, and all of that. Is it concerning for you? Is it as concerning as the noise seems to be saying?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think any responsible Nigerian would have the aspiration that the arc of our democratic development, of our progress, will be in the direction of more participation.
Oh dear.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure we're gonna, hear from her again on that as soon as we have the connection back. Well, okay. Go ahead, madam. We lost the connection from a bit. Yes.
Are we back? Okay.
Yes, we are. Go ahead.
I mean, I think the aspiration of every Nigerian is that the arc of our democratic development will be in the direction of more opening, more voter orientation, more participation, more engagement, rather than less. What we're seeing is an increasing, if you like, incestuous engagement amongst the political elite, a short-termism, an expedience to things that should deepen the democracy, the thing that should widen the scope of engagement. So when the public, and I'm really happy that we are demanding this thing, when the public is demanding electronic transmission to eliminate as much as possible the insidious human factor that has bedeviled our elections, when the public comes together and demands this, it's a really positive thing. So we're doing this in spite of, rather than because of, our politicians. And that raises a number of questions.
But there are those who also believe, we're having a conversation yesterday, and there are those who believe that we've actually made some significant progress over the past 26 odd years, or 27 that we've been doing this. For instance, there was a time everything was manual, including voter verification and everything. But now, we moved from the smart card reader to the BVAS. So there's been some progress. But do you think the innovation that we've come up with over time have moved the needle a little bit or more towards what we really expect?
We're Nigerians, we don't settle for a little bit. We want the best. I don't see any reason why we should be complacent. There's just too much at stake. And we already have a history where the intervention of the human factor, has raised a number of red flags for our electoral outcomes. I mean, if we want to move away from, the judicial selection pattern that we have now, one of the solutions, the very clear solution, is to resort as much as possible, not as little as possible, but as much as possible in the direction of more technology rather than less technology. I don't see why the manual transmission should have primacy, legal primacy, over technological transmission.
Okay.
I mean, we want to reduce the human factor.
Well, that's definitely where we're going. Let me take it to our Abuja studio. Well, Mr. Buhari, you have been part of the process more often than not. Even before you became a presidential candidate, it must have taken a while for you to understand exactly what the issues are. What was your experience, and how important, how valid is the concern making the rounds now? And maybe I should also add, so this adjustment that the National Assembly has made, of which they are harmonizing to send to the president, what's your take on it?
Yes, morning again, Ayo. So quite frankly, before I became a vice presidential candidate in the last election, I was a presidential candidate in the 2019 election, and clearly this is one of the reasons why we thought best that we have to get involved. Today I'm going to be speaking from both sides of the mouth, on one side as a politician and the other side as a techpreneur, which is very, very dicey because as a techpreneur, I know that some of these things can be resolved. I know that some of these things can be done, but I've heard a lot of people speak, even from the National Assembly, saying things like, even in America, you still have a lacuna in all of these processes. You find out that sometimes this doesn't work even in Europe. And I'm saying, do we have to wait for these countries to get certain things done before we get to do them? Can't we be the front runners? Can't we have a government that will be very proud to say it was during our administration that we got electronic voting ticked and transmitted in real time, and everything went on so well, and then the most popular candidate emerged? I mean, this is a government that is seen to be very popular. With all of the defections, I expect that it wouldn't be a problem at all whatsoever for them to want to see that this electronic transmission in real time, as demanded by the Nigerian people, goes into full gear. And do not forget, it's a huge reminder to the National Assembly, and I've mentioned this many times. You cannot be in the National Assembly and think you're speaking for yourself. You have been elected by the people. You are a representative of the people in the National Assembly. It's expected that whenever matters like this arise, you go back to your constituency, you sit down with your constituents, and you ask them, what should we decide on a matter like this? Because you speak for them, you do not speak for yourself. So when we have issues like this, and we have the Nigerian National Assembly, or the politicians on one side, trying very hard not to listen to the people, but decide on what they want to do, it raises a lot of concern and a lot of problems. And this is why we're hoping that as we move towards the next few days, we will have open sessions where we would have to decide how we want to forge ahead as a people. First of all, the politicians must have to understand that we need a proper system, a clear system that can give accountability, so that the voices or the decisions of the people can be brought to the full light.
Right. Thank you. Mr. Onanuju, if I could come to you to get your thoughts on this matter. The Electoral Act of 2022 was hailed at the time that it came into force as being progressive. I know that Mr. Buhari just talked about not waiting for foreign countries to excel at something before we get to it, that we should be proactive on our own. But yes, that Act of 2022 was hailed as progressive, and its first real test was during the elections in 2023, but that exposed a lot of ambiguities to the discretionary electronic transmission of results, which INEC said it just wanted to try out at that time. Of course, there were some failures acknowledged with it, but then it's moved off closer to getting it right. What are your thoughts about regarding the transition of results in this current dispensation and the amendments going on for the new Electoral Act?
As you rightly pointed out, we are going through a transition. And it is that transition from the fraudulent ways things used to be to a more representative way where what the legislatures do, what we also as a society do in terms of making laws, represents the interest and the majority of the mindset of Nigerians. Nigerians have fought to have gotten to where we are right now, electronic transmission. We now understand that once the beavers equipment have the results fed into them, they definitely will transmit. If it does not transmit in the first 30 seconds, it could transmit in the subsequent 4 or 5 minutes if the equipments are taken through areas that have access to network. And this is what it is. So the arguments you have now are those who are afraid, those who were brought to power not through the democratic process, but who are afraid of subjecting themselves to open democratic contest. So they are trying to use language to say that they can get the INEC man to rig for them, and then the law will be able to say it's all right. Now, that takes us to where the problem is. The law. It's not what language we put. You could write a law, but the public and INEC understands the spirit of that law. INEC knows that the spirit of the law is feed the things into the machine, and it gets in there in real time if there is network, or the minute that machine gets close to wherever there's network, it pours in. So feed it into that beavers equipment, and that's enough. But we are having people now who wants to argue, no, leave lacuna so that you can fill with your hands, so you can use it from EC8A. No, we're trying to do away with the EC8A. And that's where we're driving to. But, of course, a society that had an election that was ruined in 2023, those who came into power through those processes of, acrobatic ruination of that election will always want to think that they can still have another go at the way that brought them to power. That's where we're arguing. So we, the society, must keep pushing for a transparent election, because transparent elections are the beginning of changing the ills in society. You were just talking about things being stolen. It is purely lack of governance. If the governance is not there, nobody will care about security, and you're now seeing the Nigerian state fall behind in acting to protect lives and security of its citizens and their properties, and that's where we are. So you tell me somebody stole manholes on the 10 mainland bridge, it simply speaks to the fact that the government is not active in terms of being effectual in regards to security.
Just a moment, Mr. Onanuju.
Talk about security of the Electoral Act.
Just a moment, Mr. Onanuju, on that subject matter. You're saying that it is lack of governance that makes people steal manholes? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Okay. Governance is securing the space.
Okay.
The first law of governance is security of lives and property.
Okay.
And when there is no security of lives and property, anybody can steal and go free.
I'm coming somewhere. Now, the one on the 3rd mainland bridge, they were caught in the act. There were cameras. There are cameras on the 3rd mainland, along the 3rd mainland bridge. They were caught in the act, arrested, and the authorities are already in charge of that one. So is that still a problem that government has? Or I want to understand what your point is on that.
If there is presence of governance, you will see security everywhere. Security is not just the cameras. Security is also when you follow the leads and end up at Jankara Market to catch the people where they buy manholes. You can't steal manholes and take it everywhere. It's like the same problems we have. You hear kidnapping, and then police refuse to track it. But when the police decide to track, they do catch the culprits. This is the issue. When there is lack of governance, the government will not care. It is lack of governance that people are kidnapped. And the government will say, no, nobody was kidnapped. You're arguing, and after 48 hours, you say, okay, people were kidnapped. It's the absence of governance that causes that. If there is governance, the government will do the right thing.
So you don't think that we as a people, my apologies again, Mr. Onanuju, you don't think that we as a people have a responsibility in that regard? The infrastructure were produced by government for the people. As we said, this is not making a case for government or anything. This is just looking at the issues as they are. Now, facilities are provided. Even though we are talking about government, beg your pardon, we're talking about elections, we're talking about electoral reforms and all. But, you know, the function of electoral reforms is to get people who can get the job done. Now some people are seemingly getting the job done, and the people, the same people for which those things are being provided, are compromising the process. Now, so I'm just trying to understand. So you're saying that as a people, we don't have a responsibility in this. It's all government. Is that what you're saying?
Our responsibility is to support the government, to fix the equipment, and also to have the mind that some people could try to come and steal. That's why we have security. That's why the state has the exclusive right to force. That's why the state deploys security people. That's why the state does monitoring. That's why the state is allowed to spend so much money on security. Security is not just reacting when the act occurs. No. Security is also gathering intelligence. Wherever these people are, the people caught before, what did the government do to them? If you do nothing to them, that means there are no consequences for such bad actions. What will they do? They will repeat it. Look at all over the place. People get involved in corruption. When you arrest them, there are no consequences. What will happen tomorrow? More people will repeat the same thing. What has been done to those who were arrested before now? What the government does to those people serves to warn other people from going to repeat those things.
Right.
And that's how these things work.
Right. Well, I mean, thank you for your thoughts. Very engaging. Although some people will differ, you know, as to what you're saying. Let's get back to Mrs. Odiego, you know, to catch her thoughts about all of this and maybe to react to some of these things as well. Would you agree? You know, we've talked about electoral reforms to make our elections better, to bring in leaders of our choice that will provide, you know, social infrastructure and all these other things. But do you agree with the conversation so far about, you know, the responsibilities of the government vis-a-vis the responsibilities of the people?
Well, I think we're struggling with a culture of malfeasance in the country. I mean, we talk about trust deficit. I think we should also talk about a cynicism, about property, ownership. You know, if you can spend how many billions on travel, you know, compared to what you're prepared to spend, a fraction of that travel budget on health, on national health, okay, on healthcare for all Nigerians. I mean, you've got a cynicism breeding and spreading across, you know, the populace. And so when people take, you know, tear infrastructure apart, vandalize, steal, they're going to use those things to make pots, pans, spoons, you know, to earn a living. Is it right? Absolutely not. It is completely wrong. You're absolutely right that this is public infrastructure, for better, for worse, whether these jobs were properly tendered or not. what the public domain feels about the way contracts are awarded in Nigeria, et cetera, you are dealing with a culture of malfeasance that has spread across the populace. And everybody, it's just this attitude of what's in it for me? What's in it for me? And that's why we're at this stalemate with the electoral reform, the lack of harmonization so far. We shouldn't even be talking about harmonization. How do we take 2 steps forward and 3 steps backward in terms of the electoral reform bill from 2022, right? I mean, we should be talking about the next level. We should be talking about higher ground. Why don't we compare ourselves with India, that has an incredible population, an incredible voter base, and says that every vote counts and every voter is important? Why don't we have that attitude? What's in it for the voter? What's in it for the average Nigerian? There's a discourse going on now. I'm hearing it coming out of the Senate and out of pundits on behalf of the Senate, that Nigerians are being sentimental, they're being emotional. If Nigerians were emotional, they would be angry and they would be expressing anger. What they're expressing now is disappointment and discouragement. They're not at the point of anger yet. So when people say Nigerians are sentimental, they want electronic transmission, of course we want electronic transmission, because we know that at the end of the day, between INEC and its agents and the judiciary, the human element is bedeviling our electoral processes, and that we're getting leaders that we don't want. So if you tie this whole thing together, something is happening in society, and our so-called leadership is exacerbating the cynicism, the selfishness, the self-interest, I, me, and myself, that is bedeviling our society.
Interesting. Well, Mr. Buhari, coming to you again now, CSOs are Nigerians. Politicians are Nigerians. INEC is full of Nigerians. So the media, we're all Nigerians. All political party members, they are Nigerians. Party agents are Nigerians. Volunteers on election day are Nigerians. Perhaps the issue we need to look at now, and I'd like you to speak to it, especially as a Nigerian and as a politician, is that ownership. Now, we're looking at the electoral reforms now. We've been talking about electoral reforms for eons. We're looking at the process now, and the question that I'm asking is, do you think we have enough patriotic ownership of our nation to understand what the issues are? Because as Madam Odigio said, it depends on what side of the divide you belong to. That is where your interest would be. But if we have a patriotic ownership of Nigeria, all of us should be looking at the same thing, pretty much seeing the same thing and agreeing that, okay, this is where we are all supposed to go, even though we are not sure of what vehicle we're going to take.
Spot on. This is the reality, you see, and I keep reminding people all the time, whether you like it or not, all of the mess that is going on, the politicians that we complain about, they are from us. The people that are representing us in the civil service structure, they are from us. It goes to show that to a large degree, Nigerians have totally lost hope in the country itself. I can mention to you very clearly lots of gatekeepers, from the military to the police to the civil service, civil servants, and politicians, as a matter of fact, whose families do not even live in Nigeria anymore, at least for the last 10 years. And these are the people that are supposed to put things in place. It's not their prerogative. It's not a priority for them right now. And, when we talk about electoral reforms, which of course is the matter of the day, it's very important for us to understand that in 2013, 14, towards 15, there was a very strong conversation around the adoption of the ECR, the electronic card reader, which is the technology that was brought in place that, as a matter of fact, brought about 80 to 90% of the people currently in the National Assembly today, and even in the executive structure. And it beats me when we are now trying to advance technology, and then these same people are saying, oh, it's not going to work. I expect that at a time like this, we'll be able to sit down with the tech gurus of Nigeria, which clearly, when you check the hierarchy, we actually lead when it comes to global index as to how well we are very innovative with technology. Why can't we work with them? Why can't we see how we can be the first groundbreakers on technology grounds where we can say, okay, fine, our electronic system has become better than the rest of the world. As a matter of fact, it beats me that we are still talking about not having internet connection in certain places, which is the reason why we do not want to transmit voting results in real time. It's laughable. People are watching us. People are laughing at us. People are seeing that we're not accountable. People are seeing that we're not ready. People are not... people can't bank on us because of all of these ways that we try to manipulate ourselves,
but sorry,
to undermine ourselves, unfortunately.
Beg your pardon, Mr. Buhari, but is it not true that there are certain places that do not have internet access, and as such, the electronic transmission of results may not be possible in those places? This is not England or America. This is Nigeria, where you have hard-to-reach areas. People don't even have electricity in some areas, not to talk of internet connection. So is it not true that these people will be disenfranchised?
You are absolutely... You're absolutely correct. It is not 100%, all right? But if I'm listening to the National Assembly members, especially the senators, and over 80% of them are saying we do not have internet connection in my hometown, then I think it is ridiculous, because we have some internet providers that have been in our space at least for the last 25 years, and I would like to think that it's also our responsibility as a people, as a government, to see that they are able to spread more easily and more formidable across our space. Do not forget, if you even go as little as the POS transactions that go on across the country, you go to very, very remote areas and they're able to transact businesses. This is not saying that it's 100%, but I also said before you interjected that haven't we gotten to a point where we would relate with our tech gurus and see how all of this can be sorted, rather than decide all of this, raise it in the National Assembly, decide it in the National Assembly, and present it to the Nigerian people as they deem fit. I think it's time we have these conversations on a broader perspective with the tech community and see how we can solve our problems. Otherwise, we will continue being a laughingstock before the rest of the world.
Wow. Well spoken. Mr. Onanuju, if I could come to you. Some of these challenges, I don't know how far-reaching they could be also, because there are also proposals for early voting, especially for essential service providers, people who work in the hospitals, the media, judiciary, that they can start voting first before the general public now votes a little time after. With all these challenges that we've put forth, and that's the challenges that are being contested, let me put it that way, what do you think of this proposal? Do you think it's something that would work, or something that we still need to work on?
First and foremost, you were wrong on your previous statement. You said there are places internet cannot reach in Nigeria. That is not true. The internet can reach every single spot of Nigeria. What you are talking about is the service provider. I personally use Starlink, and the Starlink service I have, INEC can also buy Starlink. Millions of people in Nigeria also use Starlink. If INEC buys service from Starlink, every single INEC machine would work. The other day, the APC were doing e-registration. And you notice the people who were using e-registration, no matter the remoteness of the village where they were using it, they were connected by Starlink, they were recorded. So if Starlink worked for APC in registering the e-registration, why wouldn't INEC by Starlink service. If you have issues with Airtel, you have issues with MTN that is everywhere, then why don't you find the one that is available in all parts of the country, which the money that Nigeria makes available to INEC can purchase? Let me tell you, the most important argument we have today in Nigeria is electoral reforms. When our elections become free and fair, the country changes automatically, because you will then have the capacity to vote the right people, not having bad boys return themselves violently by hiring thugs and making sure they can write results. And when you talk to them, they say there's no network in my village. It's not true. There are networks everywhere. I use Starlink, and I have Starlink. It works in my village. It works everywhere I go to.
Thankfully,
why can't INEC buy Starlink?
Mr. Ahmed, sitting next to you, is a tech, is someone in the tech space, and he will tell you that there is no ISP that is 100%
I'm just worried how we are promoting.
You're worried about what?
I'm just wondering how we're promoting this American company, where indeed we can have technology experts here that can actually make these things work.
I was hoping not to go there, Mr. Ahmed, but we'll come back to that. So, in a bit. We have very little time to go. Let me come to you, madam. Again, I ask about ownership, but more from the perspective of young people, madam. Most of the time, young people don't even have enough patience to read all of this serious, hard stuff, but they go off with whatever it is that they hear people they respect say. The rhetorics of the people that they respect, the rhetorics of the people that they hear. And I'm glad you also spoke to the trust deficiency, the trust quotient being very, very deficient. How do we build back that trust? Because, as you know, the number of young people that come out to vote has reduced significantly. If we're going to bring that back, and we say that the future belongs to the young people, we need to find a way to involve them. How do you think we can achieve that with our current system as is and going forward, madam?
Well, I've just spent the week with young people, and let me share this with you. We have decided to end the rigging. We have decided to end the rigging. We have decided to end the rigging. No turning back, no turning back. Look, we keep on saying that young people are the future of Nigeria. It's not the future, they are now. They're now. And if fewer of them are coming out to vote, it's not apathy, it's a boycott. It's a boycott. What they're telling you is that they have lost faith in us, my generation in particular. I'm in my 70s now, and I am ashamed that we are running this country so badly when we know better. We've run out of excuses. We can't say colonialism, the West, the East. We've run out of excuses. We know what to do. We can't take 2 steps forward and 3 backward. We know that we will not allow INEC to determine who becomes the next president of Nigeria. No. We have decided that we will not allow the judiciary to determine who will become the next president of Nigeria. No. So if the vote is sacrosanct, and if voters are respected, then electronic transmission will be central to the reforms we're talking about. I lived abroad for a number of years, and we really wanted to be able to vote remotely. Of course, it wasn't possible at the time. I don't see any reason why other people who live abroad, the armed forces, emergency services, health workers, even INEC workers, shouldn't have the space within which to vote either before or after the general election.
Okay.
But that is if we put the systems in place. We can't keep on moving backward because it is convenient for a select few.
Okay.
The country wants to move forward. Let's go.
Okay. Thank you very much, madam. And by the way, Mr. Ahmed Buhari, he just clapped for you for that Oscar level
performance, yes.
Well, Mr. Buhari, your final thoughts on this?
That's young people for you.
Absolutely.
You hang out with young people, you come away with something.
Absolutely. Mr. Buhari, 30 seconds, your final thoughts.
If I knew it was a music concert, I would have come with my best voice. But as it is, I just want to say something, and it is very important. Ayo, when you mentioned that Nigerians and all of our problems are from us, it is true. And I agree with Madam when she said clearly that we have run out of excuses. There's nowhere else to hide. Everywhere, everybody is seeing everybody. We just have to do the right things and expect that if you are a politician and you have done your best to make sure that things work better for Nigerians, then allow the people to decide whether you should return to office or not. Absolutely. Well, Mr. Ononuju, 30 seconds. Your final thoughts.
I want Nigerians to realize that this is a historic moment. It's the first time the international community have listened to our cries, and Americans have come in. Don't be afraid. Go on, agitate, and do the right thing. Nobody will touch you. If you get on the street to protest, nobody will touch you. But let it be intelligent. As for the argument we're having right now, the most important thing we need in this country, more than anything else, is free and fair elections. And if we are allowed to do live, on-time electronic transmission, that is the beginning of wiping away the small gaps and small devils hidden along our path to building a better society.
Well, we have to thank you very much for your thoughts this morning, Mr. Ononuju. By the way, Mr. Ahmed Buhari, we will definitely, I'm sure that you're going to get a call from someone about what we can do, since you said that we shouldn't be promoting international businesses. I agree with you 101%, but what needs to be done needs to be done. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time this morning. Kacha Ononuju is public affairs analyst, as well as Ahmed Buhari, vice presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress, the ADC, in 2023, and presidential candidate in 2019, as he informed us. We also have you to thank this morning, Madam Julie Odigoyegun, a public affairs analyst, who joined us virtually from Lekki. And don't worry, I think Ahmed Buhari will have to come take some coaching for you in the singing part.
And you both have to return to perform for us.
Absolutely. Really.